Okay, today this video is going to be all about the formatting tab. So let's go ahead and go to the page ladder. And then I've decided to use this nice homecoming dance spread that somebody has going on here. Lovely looking template, or frankly, if they're doing this on their own, they're doing a great job. Now, the format tab's already highlighted, but here's where it's at. And let's go ahead and look at some of the things you can do. So again, if I hold shift and click, I can kind of group things together just temporarily. I click off and that undoes that. You should know that by now, but if you don't, there it is. That's what I'm doing here to cause this effect. Now, if I've been moving things around, but I want to kind of either create a column for the first time, or if I want to get the column back to where it was in this case, I can go ahead and do that by simply holding shift and clicking and highlighting the items that I want to make in a nice little line here. Now look at the alignment section up here. You can see that I can do top, bottom, I can do align right or left. So obviously for this, I'm going to want to align them on the right. And I clicked this box here all the way on the right first for a reason. Sometimes that matters, other times it doesn't. You have to play with it a little bit. But nonetheless, there it is. Now let's go ahead and distribute these evenly. The distribute function is very useful, very helpful, and you can do it either vertically or horizontally. These sections right here, alignment and distribute, are key for anybody that is setting up a mugshot page. Let's go ahead and distribute evenly horizontally. You'll notice that it looks like it's a little bit bigger right here, and to be honest with you, I think that's potentially because a little bit of a rounding error occurs sometimes if you have got obviously an odd number of spaces in there. It's not going to be able to do it perfectly. So go ahead and play with it a little bit, and I think we have something that to me now looks like it's pretty well perfectly spaced. Every box has a nice gap. Please notice how the gap here between the boxes and the main picture here, all pretty consistent. That gives a nice look. Let's go ahead and drop an image in here and then get back to that format tab in a moment. I am working from home here, so my computer will run significantly more slowly than what you experience at school, if I had to guess, especially when I'm needing to upload or do anything like that. Now again, in the formatting section here, for images specifically, you can put a stroke on it, and that just puts a box around it essentially. Not something we use very often, but be conscious that it's there. Drop shadow, you can use a drop shadow, very rare though. For that, you really will have to go to the effects tab, which we'll do in a minute. Transparency, if you want something that's going to be kind of see-through-y, you can set that up. Tint, that'll just kind of make it white, alright, give it a different tint. Arrangement, you can layer them, which we'll talk about more with text really. Flip, rotate, okay. Again, you shouldn't need this very much. Most anything we want to do, we're going to do in Photoshop or Lightroom to begin with, but again, these are nice to know about. Corner rounding, give you the extreme here. Take it very easy on this effect. Again, once is okay, but after that it gets to be a little bit tiresome, especially for a whole page of things. But again, exception to every rule. So one rule, there's, oh boy, the only exception for this one would be if you're doing some sort of a tessellation or something, some sort of a cool geometric pattern with images, and again, used very sparingly, that can be good. 99 times out of 100, if not more, you're going to want to just have your image be a box. I mean, let's face it, if I come down here to the star, there are very few places where that's going to be appropriate on a page. So back to the square there, rectangle in this case. You can initiate a crop rather than double clicking by setting it there. Maybe I want this effect for some reason, so go ahead and crop it like that. Back to this, you can make it a background. Once again, very, very rare. I'm going to Control Z to get that back. Text wrapping, here you can see that this text has been wrapped and it's a little bit stuck to the side here. This is the tight wrapping here, if you will. It wraps it tight to the elements. This one is a loose wrap, so that does give you a little bit more space there. And this is top and bottom, so it's going to be under or on top. I always like the tight wrapping, and if you lower the wrap padding, of course you can get a little bit more text in there. You got to be careful though, because it can make it hard to read. And sometimes, honestly, if you get the padding low enough, it can sometimes cause things to go to other lines, and that actually takes up more space. But nonetheless, we'll talk about that perhaps a little bit more with some text in a bit. Let's finish this off by going to the Effects tab. We generally will not use red eye removal, cutout background, or selective color. If you want to do any of that, let me know. We can do it either in Lightroom or Photoshop. To play with on here, though, feel free. Colorize, again, same deal. We're going to edit outside of the program for that. Drop shadow, let's try it out. Let's go with black. Now you can play with the angle. You can adjust the blur on it. You get that distance coming off there a little bit more. The opacity will cause it to be either transparent or not transparent at all. It'll be opaque. Increase the strength, decrease the strength. Get the glow. Who wouldn't want a little bit of a teal type glow on stuff? Oh, that looks amazing. I do hope, honest to goodness, you guys can understand that the vast majority of this effects tab, I'm literally only showing you because it's there, and I don't expect that you'll be using it basically ever. A little is a lottle from the glue bottle is what one of the ladies that I had as a cooperating teacher in school told me. Same deal with this. A little's a lot coming out of this format tab for all of these things. Hardly any of it would be best used. Let's look at the text over here now. It's pretty straightforward. You've got your font types, and if you want to adjust the font types, best to just select whatever you want to adjust and do something like this maybe. That's lovely. If I want to adjust the font size, select the thing here, and that seems to be not working due to my slow internet, so we'll just have it not work. That's a real pain right now, but I assure you, if you pull that down, you can adjust the font size. There we go. And I'll be frank, I don't really know why it's doing that right now. I assume because of the slow internet. Might be, though, because of the font type. So let's go ahead and eliminate that as a possibility right now. Select this. Let's go to something a little bit more traditional here. And there we go. So we have this different font. Now let's see if it'll let us in here. Most of this issue that I'm experiencing, I guarantee you guys, is just because my internet's slow. So that's exactly what it is. This should work normally. I assure you that this is the second or third time I've been through the video, and it worked quite well. So play with that and see what you get. Overall, global options for this box, I've got justified left. You can do center. You can also do it to the right. One thing that I do often recommend is doing a newspaper type of alignment. That's what I call it. It's just justified, pushed out to the left and right equally. You will have, in some spaces, just like reading a newspaper, some gaps between words that are a little bigger than others in spots. If you look at this line right here, definitely a larger gap between some of these words than there is in this line right here, where if anything, the gaps are a little small. Please be mindful of that. Sometimes those gaps can make it look like it is just words run together across a page, depending on the font you're using. All right. Text wrapping. The text is wrapped around these boxes right here. If I don't want this box to play with that, then we'll just uncheck it, and that's lovely. You can adjust the line spacing, spread it out, or bring it down. You can get to a point where it is just too low, and then it won't make a difference. So there is that. And again, be careful, because if you don't have it selected, it might not work. Again, with my internet being slow here, it gets a little buggy. You can see how that line spacing there really was affected. Now, let's talk in this formatting tab, as I said before, about the arrangement right here. You've got bring to front, bring all the way to the front, bring forward, send to back, and send backward. If I wanted to do this right now, obviously on the top, if I wanted to go back one step, I click send backwards. And you can see that these boxes are not all aligned at the same height, if you will, above the page. So this box clearly is the thing that's on top for what's covered here. Do it again. There's another box. That's the next layer down, next layer down. If you wanted to, again, you could shift and click to select all of these. And sometimes difficult, as you can see there, to not get that text box in there, right? But nonetheless, bring these to the front. We've got this over the text box, and then boom, take the text box and send it back, There we go. And then bring all these to the front. So now the text box is in the very back. If I hit bring to front for the text box, it's on the top. Send it back, it's all the way on the bottom. We can bring it up through layers, and you can see that it can take a few steps. So play with that, check it out. That's basically it for this. I mean, maybe knockout text here is one thing. So that'll make it kind of hollow, if you will. It can be a decent effect. Again, you can put images in the text if you wanted to. So let's go back to images. And let's see if we can put that in here. Boom, click off. And there we kind of sort of are. Again, some of this, it's going to vary depending on the type of, there you go, you can see it now that it's not a knockout. It was just getting in the outline before. Depending on the style of font and everything else, it can be pretty tricky. And on rare occasion, it will kind of go to print a little bit differently than it shows up on the page. I've seen most of the problems that could occur with that before, so I can help to stop you from having that happen to you. And worst case scenario, the folks at the plant are excellent at helping to identify those problems themselves. They are wonderful people, and we are fortunate to work with them. If you have any comments, just go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. Any questions, anything like that. If you like the video, hit me with a thumbs up. And if you have any other requests or specific functions that you'd like to see covered, please let me know and I'll be sure to get those out. Thanks a ton for watching.